Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk to you about Swimming with the Sharks, I guess you could call it limited TV series rundown review. This was a Roku TV channel original series. See, Roku TV, they have changed over the years since like launching their app. They have tons of older TV shows and movies and stuff like that. They've improved on their app by letting you have like a watch list and have your own account. That's something they finally just now did after all these years of being around. And I like Roku TV app. They have some really cool shows on there, but now they're starting to create their own stuff. And one of the things is a remake of the Swimming with the Sharks movie. Now, I've never seen the movie. It stars a disgusting, disgraced actor now, but from what I hear, it's a cult classic. Now, this came to my attention because I was watching some girls on the Roku app, and sometimes they have like ad trailers, and this was one of them. This and another show, a detective show that I'm thinking about watching. And so I'm like, oh hey, I know that lady. That's that I can't talk. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina girl. Kieran, what's her name? Kiernan Shipka. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember her and everything and stuff like that. So I'm like, what is she in? I'm like, oh wow, she's in a very adult, mature show. I'm like, well, good for her and everything for like moving on up and everything. And so I'm like, okay, fine, I'll check it out. Because the trailer looked really good and stuff. As for the show, it's a show, it's 6 episodes, 20 minutes. I don't know why they're so short. So it's basically an hour and 20-minute movie. Now here's the thing. This show had the makings of being, dare I say, perfect. And that's something I never really say because there's no such thing as perfection. But honest to God, because the way the trailer looked and because of what the show's about, it literally had the makings of being literally perfect. But they screwed things up. This show has a huge pacing problem. With only 6 episodes, many months take place within this show. So you don't really get no true context as to what's really going on because things happen so quickly and a lot of stuff happen off screen. So it's just kind of like, well, what's the point? And like, there's no build up to nothing. We don't get to see nothing happen really. So it's kind of like you don't feel satisfied. So there is a massive, and I mean massive, pacing problem. Not only that, but like the show never truly explains why the main character is the way she is. Like, we find out later what set things off, but we don't find out why she's so obsessed with the other main character. And so that's never really explained. Also, the ending is kind of left in the air. So it's kind of like, are they trying to have like a second season or not? I don't know. I mean, this should be self-contained. And then there's another problem, the writing. The writing isn't very good. A lot of things, like I said, with the pacing, things happen so quickly. It's kind of like, how do people come to this conclusion? What set this off? Where is the buildup? It's an ambiguous type show that tried to be a little too much of what it needed to be. And so because of that, it's very flawed. Now it is a dark, erotic thriller. I don't know so much about psychological, but maybe. But for the most part, it's an erotic thriller and everything. And I will say this, like the times when there is like sexual stuff going on, clickety clacking, it's set up in a way that feels very erotic. Like you're very like focused on it. You're very stimulated by it. Like it does a good job in like that. So it kind of has that whole 50 Shades of Grey type thing. Because a lot of people complain about that, but this really makes you go and everything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because like one problem I had with I Know What You Did Last Summer, the TV show, is that they had sexual stuff in there, but it felt so weird. It felt like they were just trying to be hardcore porn. But with this, they're actually trying to like tempt you, tease you, get you kind of like steamy, hot type thing. It, like, you know, like a really good like soap love scene type thing. So they really try to like stimulate you in that way. So they do a great job in that. The acting is great all around, but a lot of these characters don't really do nothing. Cause like Erica Alexandria, she is only in probably 3 episodes, but IMDb lists her as in all 6, but she's not. And she doesn't have much to do. And I was very happy to see her because I haven't saw Erica Alexander since like, you know, Living Single. And so I'm thinking, okay, cool. Like, you know, she looks absolutely the same. Like she has not aged. It's just her hair is longer. And so I'm like, cool, I'm gonna get to see her in this like erotic thriller type thing. But she don't do much. And see, and I feel like sometimes they did a little bit of the check mark thing a little bit because it is a diverse cast. You have a black woman, an Asian man, you have a gay man, and you have another guy who I do not know what he is. He might be Hispanic, I'm not really sure. It might be Italian, Greek, something like that. I'm not really sure. But all these like diverse people really don't do nothing in the show. They pop in, they pop completely out. And so the show focuses on like 2 main white actresses and stuff. And so it tries to be diverse, but all they're doing is checking things off its list. And if you ain't gonna give your diverse cast much of anything to do, then what's really the point? You know, you have the black character at one point starts to be like the angry black woman. Now, there's a reason why she's angry, but of course, it feeds into that stereotype. The gay man is very sassy and very jealous, and that's really all he is there to do. And then, you know, he is written out after the big revelation, and it's kind of like he was just there to be sassy and jealous, which is another stereotype. And so it's feeding on that. It also feeds on stereotypes of like the angry, evil, like white man and stuff that's in this. And so it's kind of like they're feeding off like check mark systems and like stereotypes that's been going around in like Hollywood for like the longest time. Now, like I said, this is based off a movie, but it's loosely based off it. It really has no correlation to what the movie used to be. Now, I'm okay with that if they can put out a good product, because I am unaware of this movie. So therefore, I'm not like a huge fan like most people, so I could really care less. But from what I read about like the movie, because I read it on Wikipedia really fast, the movie sounds a whole lot better than this show. Because this show is a mystery. You're trying to figure out why. Why is the main character like this? Then you start to think in your head and you're coming up with stuff that's not what the final result is. And the final result is pretty weak. So, and that's very annoying and very irritating. I give them props for trying to go there and everything, but the execution was poorly, like, you know, written and stuff. Now, sadly, there is naked man booty in this. I'm so sick and tired of seeing that and stuff. Now, I will say this about the love scenes. They are erotic and they do get you stimulated, but here's the problem with them. The 2 main actresses are in those love scenes. One male is a main character and the other one's just some random dude. Both men get completely butt naked and you see their butts. The women, however, keep their clothes completely on. And so that's kind of weird, and it takes you out the moment. It's kind of like, who does that? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, why is the man completely butt naked, but the woman is completely 100% clothed? One is clothed in like a bikini, and the other one is clothed in just regular clothes, a long button-up shirt, and it's just kind of like, huh? So that's just kind of weird, and it's kind of like, see if you're gonna have those type of scenes in there, you have to commit. You're not willing to commit, you gotta recast, or you have to get a body double. They could have got a body double, but they didn't. So I don't understand why they didn't. So that kind of takes you out like the mood and everything. Now the acting, like I said, is really good. I give Kiernan very huge props for what she had to do. She had to dress in some very sexy outfits, and she works those outfits. Like, Kiernan is a very gorgeous woman, and it's almost like she's having, like, how sometimes those former Disney, former Nickelodeon kids, but mainly the Disney ones, once their show is over with, they go kind of wild and crazy, and the next project they're in is very like adult oriented and stuff. That's kind of how what she's doing right now. But Sabrina was mature, but she went the over mature route. Like, she really wants people to know, hey, she is a woman here, and look at her for what she is. You know what I'm saying? And so, and she's killing it, you know what I'm saying? The only problem I'm having with her acting is that I can't see her as a convincing, psychotic, evil type woman. She has too much of a baby face and everything. And her hair is still blonde, which of course when I see her, all I see is Sabrina, and sometimes I see Melissa Joan Hart, because one of the reasons why she got that gig in Sabrina was because her face favors that of Melissa Joan Hart. Like, when you look at those two, when you look at Kiernan, she looks a lot like a younger, or even an older, also like Melissa Joan Hart. And so, but when someone watching this role and she's giving her dialogue, there are times it seemed like she was uncomfortable because she was trying too hard to portray a like psychotic, stone cold like killer type person. I just could not see it or feel it. Now there were times when it was okay when she was acting that way, but there was other times where it just felt like something's not connecting. And I've seen a lot of people act like the psychotic, stone cold kind of way, and I just wasn't feeling it for her, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, she does a great job throughout the rest of this series and stuff, because she has to, because she's one of the main people. Now, one thing she does is she uses her sexuality, and her cuteness to her advantage. Everybody like wants her and everything. She's very like stimulating when she has to act in those type of scenes, but when it comes to that as psycho killer, I'm just not like seeing it, because she still has that baby face, Sabrina-ish type thing. So what is this show about? Well, for one, it should have been a lot longer. It should have been an hour long, and it should have had more than just 6 episodes for better character development and pacing and stuff. But this show stars Diane Kugler, who plays a woman who is the head of like a movie studio. And I'm trying to remember her name. Oh, Joyce Holt. So Joyce is trying to get like the book rights from an author so she can make like movies off it, stuff like that. Now Diane is like a boss, but she does kind of fill in that stereotype of like a lot of female movie bosses where they want everything their way and they work people like slaves. We see that a lot in like movies and stuff like that. So basically, everybody worships her at her job. When she walks in, they open the doors for her. She holds her hand out. Somebody squirts lotion in it. She rubs her hands around. She goes in there and she has this little ritual. Now, the ritual is kind of weird. It's like it's the way it's set up. She lights like a match. She put in a candle and she touches a black scorpion. And it does that a lot throughout the show. They don't never explain the significance of it. So that's kind of weird. The show is very vague and it expects you to put in the pieces yourself, but it's kind of hard when you really don't necessarily know what's truly going on, you know what I'm saying? And so Then we get, so she's trying to get the book rights from this one lady, but the one lady's not really 100% kind of like sure, you know what I'm saying? And this is the Erica's character. So then we get the lady herself. We get the Kiernan Shipka character, Tallulah, which they call her Lou in the show. And so she's an intern, 22 years old. And so she's new to like Hollywood and everything. And so Joyce tells her, you know, you better leave now because Hollywood will eat you up and turn you something you don't want to be. And so we see Travis, who is the gay assistant who just loves like, you know, Joyce to death and do anything for her. He's being his rude, sassy self and everything. And oh, what's his name? Who played Reggie in Riverdale? He plays Alex. And so, like, he's also there, but he's a lot nicer. And so, in this episode, she meets this one dude who is, God, I forgot his name. Miles. And no, that's the boyfriend. Jeez, Marty. So she meets Marty because she's trying to get like a hot dog or something, and some random dude's hitting on her. So Marty comes in to save the day, pretend to be like her brother, even though he has a British sounding accent. But then those two end up dating. Now, when they end up dating, Lou and Marty, you don't see it because a lot of it happens off screen, and it rarely happens on screen. So, anyways. At this point, it's just kind of like, hey, what is this about? It's kind of boring. It's a little dry and everything. And that blue tint is kind of like, you know, I'm tired of the blue film tint color and stuff. But then, you know, it's supposed to set up this kind of like mood and this type of atmosphere. So then we see Erica's character. I believe her name is Meredith. We see her in like, you know, the restroom, and then in comes Lou, and Lou's being her erotic self. Now, Karen does an amazing job when it comes to being that of a seductress. She's very great at that. It's just the stone cold killer thing she needs to work on and everything. And so I'm just like, hey, what is going on? Because before you watch the show, it says for mature content. I'm just like, what's gonna happen in that restroom? So then we see Lou take like, what is it called? Like a throat lard. I thought it was candy at first. That's what I assumed it was. 'Cause it looked like that hard kind of candy. You know, it's like hard candy that's colorful and it's a rectangle, and you have to suck it because it's like really hard. But later on in the series, it's a throat lodge. One of them things. I can't say it. It's like what is those things? Like when you're sick and you coughing and you put those things in your mouth and you suck on it. It's like medicine and stuff. One of those things. So, she takes that and she puts it in her mouth. Then, because she's wearing like a short, I don't know if she's wearing a skirt or she's wearing pants, but she does something and she puts the thing down in her in her thing. And I'm just like, what? And she takes it out and she puts it in Meredith's mouth. And Meredith's kind of just looking at her kind of like, what the world's going on? But okay. Then they start making out and everything. I'm like, what? Because I wasn't expecting Meredith to be like a lesbian. I wasn't expecting Lou to be either. So then I'm thinking, okay, so then it ends like that in the first episode. I'm like, okay, so what's the second episode going to be like? Well, because I'm thinking to myself, okay, she's doing this to get like up ahead, you know what I'm saying? Because I could figure that out. So then on the next episode, you see Meredith call Joyce and all like, whatever the name is of this new assistant girl, like hire her and like you can have my book and everything to make your movie. And so I'm like, oh, okay, so that's what was going on. But see, I assume she was doing it just to land a job because she's 22, an intern, and very new to all this, you know. And so she gets the job and she's working there, and all of a sudden things start to play out. We start to see what's really going on. We see Lou go to like kind of like this old like rundown looking hotel type thing, and this old lady sitting in a chair. I first assumed it was like an old house and that's like her grandma, something like that, but it's not. It's just the lady who owns the place. And when she goes into the room, you see all the craziness going on. She has a shrine of Joyce, tons of pictures, candles, the works. And she has her little psychotic look in her face. Now, this is when that part was actually good. So I'm like, oh, okay, she's nuts. And for some reason, she wants Joyce for some bizarre reason. And so she's working there to like, get on her good side. So the question is why? But then they show a flashback of her with brown hair and her in a mental institute. Now, I will say this. When she's in the mental institute and when she has the brown hair, I then believe she is nuts and psychotic. Then she does a great job. Not only does she not look like herself, but she's actually portraying that character. See, when she has her blonde hair and she's doing this and that, it's just not believable because she just reminds me so much of Sabrina. But when she has the brown hair and is ratty looking, she's more convincing that way. So, so then we see the dude who played Reggie, Alex, and he's sick and everything. And so she asks to like come over, and she comes over, and they're just talking, and then it cuts from that, and towards the end, where we see he has drowned in the pool. And it's like, whoa, did she kill him? Chances are she probably did. Because that's the thing. So you have to assume that because we don't never see it. It just cuts from one scene to another because the pacing is very quick and fast. And so he is now dead. And so Travis is kind of like, this dude, like, how does he die of a drug overdose? Because they found drugs in his system. And they're just kind of like, how does he die of a drug overdose? Because the dude stopped doing drugs years ago. He's been sober clean from drugs. He's been clean from, like, drugs and stuff. So Travis is suspicious. He becomes a little more suspicious because now Lou has taken over Alex's old job. So she's really moving up really fast. This makes Travis, very suspicious and everything. But it makes him a little too suspicious because he's too on the nose on this thing, They need to let this show breathe see, if Travis would have get suspicious halfway into the season, that would have been fine. But so quickly by like episode 2, it's just kind of strange. So when it comes to Travis, because he's starting to suspect what's the name, and he's rude to what's the name, at some point in time he does fire her. But he fires her for like another reason, I think. Something she didn't do correctly. And so she gets upset, and I think she talks to Marty. And so Marty talks to Joyce. And so Joyce is all like, you can't fire my people, blah, 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 blah. And so she gets her job back. And now I will say this. Kiernan does a great job of giving you the evil look stare. That's one thing, because she has that cutesy look. So when she gives that evil stare, it's kind of like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? And so at some point in time with Travis, Lou needs to get him out the picture. But she just can't straight up kill him because, that will look too suspicious. So what does she do? He is supposed to, like, take care of Joyce's dog. He's like her little manservant. And so Lou poisons the dog when the dog has foam all around his mouth and almost dies. So Joyce assumes that, since Travis is supposed to take care of my dog and somehow he has like almost killed my dog, she gets mad and she fires him. He feels that this is all Lou's fault and he doesn't know how, but he's gonna figure it out. And so at some point in time, Lou goes to, actually let me get into this part first. So Miles, that is the boyfriend or maybe husband, I don't know which, of Joyce. And so they're banging and everything, and he can't get it up. He just can't do it. And that's pretty sad. That's just so sad and depressing. So she makes him watch porn, and that's the time when we get to see an actual female like boobs. Because this is my thing about nudity. If you're gonna have one person nude, you need to have the other person nude or nobody at all. But this, so it's like on the phone you can barely see. There's also at a point at a strip club you can barely see them. But there is nudity in here. Like there's a full blown nude naked woman in this like show at one point. And so he's watching the porn and now he can finally get up and he's doing Joyce. And we see his naked man booty. Now, when I saw this point, I'm just kind of like, wait, hold up. So he can't get it up with the woman he supposedly loves, but he can watch porn of another woman and get it up. So it's kind of like, hey, what's going on in their relationship? You know what I'm saying? And Joyce has to be aware of that. But she's one of those bosses where it's just kind of like she just doesn't care. She understands the name of the game and she puts her feelings like aside. So after they clickety clack and everything, I notice her legs are up in the air on the bed. I'm just like, okay, she's trying to get pregnant. Now this is the big thing with them. Something is wrong with her eggs to where she is unable to have a child. They have tried many times. They have went to fertility clinics. They talked about like adoption, surrogates, like you name it. And it's putting a toll on their relationship. So that is like the big thing with them. Now, at some point in time, Lou goes to the house of Joyce. Joyce does not know that. And so she meets Miles. And so I'm assuming, oh, okay. She's supposed to be doing something for Joyce. No, see, Miles is an artist and he does a lot of things with nude models and stuff. And it's an art thing. I don't know. It's always been an art thing ever since the Greek and Roman days. So anyway, he has an art show. And here's the problem I'm saying with things that aren't explained very well. So while they're there at his art show, Lou shows up. To his surprise, he had no idea she was working for Joyce. He's very shocked and he's very pissed. And I mean pissed and everything. So because of that, it makes you, and also Lou sent new photos of like her boobs to like his phone. And Joyce saw that and got pissed. And so, but she don't know who boobs those were. Now here's the main problem with this. They made it seem like Lou and Miles did it, that he cheated on Joyce. But, and that's the way they made it seem, right? But here's the thing. We find out later in the series that that never happened. He wanted to do it with her, but she wouldn't let him. Now, all of this is off screen. And this is from what Lou is saying now. And so it's kind of like, why build that up, making the audience assume that only for the payoff not to be that? So then it's kind of, well, that was just pointless and everything. It's misdirection and they think they're clever, but it's just annoying. It's kind of like the whole, oh, it was all a dream type thing in like a movie or a show, you know? So while at the party and she's talking to Joyce, Joyce isn't feeling very well. So she makes Lou hide her body as she puts her hand up herself and she sees blood. She has miscarried again. And so that with the boob pictures and everything, she's just like, she's had it. She's done. She's pissed. So Lou convinces her, you know, take like a vacation. So they go and they have like a vacation together, just the two of them. Now, this whole time this has been going on, I've been thinking to myself, okay, Lou and Joyce look similar. Maybe, and since Lou is obsessed with Joyce, maybe they're related and don't know. Maybe Joyce had a kid a long time ago, or maybe one of her, I was thinking, no, none of that. Maybe her eggs got like put in the wrong person, and then here comes Lou. Then that would have been a whole lot more interesting if that was to happen. But then there's something that happens on this vacation that's like, oh, okay, they're not related. So as they're there, they're drinking, they're having fun, they're doing drugs and everything. And Lou asked her, what's something you always want to do you never did? And So Joyce is all like, watch a couple like do it. And then so she asks Lou, what do you want to do? Have somebody watch me do it. So of course what happens? She goes on like Tinder, she finds some rando dude, and so Lou and the dude, like they do it. And Joyce is watching. And it is very erotic too. But it's takes you out because the dude's completely butt naked and you see a lot of his man booty, only for Kiernan to be wearing her bikini the entire time. So that's just kind of weird. So then of course Joyce joins along and they kind of like, and so she starts to kiss the dude and then she starts to kiss on Lou. So I'm like, oh, okay, she must not be related to her and stuff. And so then the dude wants to start doing both of them, but then she's like, no, you go way over there and we're going to watch you do yourself. And so he does himself and then they watch. And so it's like a big like thing, you know what I'm saying? So then the next day when they're back from their vacation, she's just kind of like, whatever happened that weekend, let's forget it never happened. So she's doing that boss kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? And Lou's just kind of like, what are you talking about? So, this also makes What's Her Face happy. Now, I forgot to mention the evil white dude in the show. That's literally what he is. His name is Redmond. Now, Redmond is a very old, very sick, on a breathing machine type of dude. He's the one who technically owns that company, but Lou is kind of like taking over him while he's sick. And so he's an evil, evil, evil man who's just rude and snarky and all this other stuff. And it's been revealed that he sexually assaulted Joyce years ago. So to kind of keep her quiet, he let her take over the company for him and stuff. And so, but he's always rude and nasty to her and stuff, and making fun of her, and there's all kind of nasty stuff he says to her. And so it's kind of like, okay, what's gonna go on with this story? Because at first I assumed it was her dad and everything, because all the crap she puts up with him. And it's kind of like, why is she putting up with all this crap for? And so I at first assumed it was like her dad and everything. And that's why she just can't let him go. But then no, he's just like a regular boss and everything. And so it's kind of like she takes all this verbal abuse from him and everything. And it's just like, why? I don't get that. She holds the power over him because she can spill the beans of what happened. But it's just weird and stuff. So that's not executed very good in my opinion. So then in the book, it's an interracial couple, right? And everybody's on board with it except for Redmond because he's a racist. And he tells them over the phone that, like, in the political climate that we live in today, the white conservative man is not going to want to see an interracial couple and blah, 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 blah. And he's all like, change it. And that's literally what he says. I'm not even making that up. When he says the political climate of like the white conservative man, like he literally says that. And so Joyce is just kind of like, you're thinking 1950 ways and all that. He's like, I don't care, change it and everything. And so Lou goes to his place and she's just all kind of like, I want you to listen to this. And because she recorded the audio of him saying, he's all like, you trying to blackmail me, girl? She's like, oh, it wasn't me and everything. So then off screen, something happens. And all of a sudden, he's now okay with the interracial couple. So it's like, and we don't see him for a while. And it's kind of like, dude, what happened to him? Did she kill him too? Like, how did she convince him to go along with it and everything? And so we find out much later, like, because she lied and said that Travis was the one that recorded it. And so he's afraid it might get leaked and it's going to make him look bad. He's going to lose millions. So he just went away. So he just, dealt with that way. So that's how she convinced him, just by blackmailing him and stuff. Now with Travis, all of a sudden, halfway towards the end of the season, he has now hired a PI to investigate Lou. He doesn't think she is who she says she is. And it's kind of like, where did this revelation come up? Like, I know he suspected her, but I didn't think he would go to that extreme. And so It's like, but what has he been up to? We don't know because he's been fired and we don't see him on screen no more. But we only see him again when he's talking to like the PI. And um so like at some point Lou tells Joyce, okay, look, you're going a surrogate route. Why do it with a stranger? Do it with me. So at first we see this happening and we assume, because like when I said Joyce has did everything she could, she does, and they show it, and then you can see how painful this is for us. She goes along with it. So now Lou has her baby, and but she only gave her egg. They put the egg inside Joyce, and now Joyce is pregnant, and so it's kind of like, okay, where exactly is this going? Why are you obsessed with Joy? And so then all of a sudden, the PI found out who Lou is. Her real name's April. She was in a mental place and this and that. And so Travis calls like Marty. No, he goes to Marty and he tells her, look, man, there's something wrong with Lou. Her real name April. She was in a mental place. And I think she killed like Alex and everything. So Travis, no, Marty doesn't want to like hear this because he's banging her and stuff off screen, but then he's all like, "You're making this up." Like he's all like, "Well, what about Alex? The night he died?" He's all like, "Well, she was with me," and he's all like, "Not at 1:45 in the morning, she wasn't." And then somehow he found her cell phone, or no, he found Alex's cell phone. He found somebody's cell phone. I think it was Alex, and he shows the text message between. Either that or the PI somehow hacked into her phone and got her log entries. So he shows Marty the text message where Lou went over to Alex's place. And he's all like, look, dude, she also bought a prescription that same day. And then he ends up dead. So then he calls and he tells Joyce. And this is where the show takes a weird, unexpected turn. Joyce is just kind of playing this off like she doesn't care. She doesn't want a scandal. She doesn't want this leaked to the press. So this is kind of, she's just playing this all nonchalant, like kind of like a billionaire tycoon type person. Like she just doesn't want this to like blow up and everything. And so like, what is it? So because of this, they call like the police because Travis went to the cops. So the cops, they go to the hotel where she's staying at, and Lou just like hightails it on out there. Now this is what's really weird. The detective lady is pregnant. Why is it pregnant detective lady, first of all, still working the force and investigating like a murderer? That don't make no sense. She's like 6 months, she said. Aren't they supposed to take off maternity leave? Like, why is a cop risking her life and her child's life to go investigate a killer? That don't make no sense. So then so Lou goes to Redmond's place and she's all like, Travis is blackmailing me and blah, 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 just like he blackmailed you and I need protection and blah, 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 blah. And he's just like, leave me alone. I don't care about all this. My lawyers will take care of this. And she's like, look, I'll do anything for you. Anything. And he's all like, he said something rude to him and he's all like, well, you can blank my blank and then get out of here. And she gets mad. He's all like, look, you the one offering to blank my blank and everything. And so then I want you to get out. And then she's all like, I know what you did to Joyce and da 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 da. And then he insults Joyce and she's just all like, don't you talk about Joyce like that and blah, 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 blah. So then she takes the steak knife and she murders him. And they show the murder. So at least they did that and everything. I mean, even Scream 5 barely showed like some of the murders and stuff. Even I know they did last summer, the TV series, they didn't show none of the murders on screen. But here's the thing. It was just a weird setup because he's asleep watching TV and has his food tray on top of him. It's a steak half eaten and it's the steak knife. As soon as I saw that knife, I knew something was going to happen. So now she's murdering him in cold blood. So now the cops are really looking for her. So then she sees an interview that she hears with Joyce talking about, oh, I never knew Lou, because she don't want like people to know that she spent time with her and stuff like that. And so this upsets Lou. So of course she goes into a psychotic rage after this. And what happens? She fakes her own death. For some reason, she has a surfboard on top of her car. That was weird. I never knew she surfed. So then she takes the surfboard and she throws it in the water. We don't see her throw it in the water. It cuts from that, and then it goes to the cops looking at the beach with Joyce in there. No, not Joyce, but it's the detectives and it's the sheriff people. They're at the beach, and the detective, pregnant lady, she finds the broken up surfboard and everything. And so then the sheriff dude's all like, "Oh, she's probably dead. You know, a storm came in, the tides are high, people drown all the time." And the detective lady's like, "Oh, so you think she's dead?" And he's like, well, "She has to be." So they just assume she's dead. Like, what the world, man? They didn't go looking for the body in the ocean. They just found a surfboard, and they found her car parked. How did they even know it's her surfboard? How did they even know she surfs? I didn't even know she surfs. And so that was just a weird plot thread that they came up with, and a lazy excuse as to have the cops not looking for her, and the cops are no longer looking for her now because they assume she's now dead. These are some really terrible cops who can't do their job. They didn't even dust the thing. Well, they can't even dust it for prints because the water washed the prints off. And so, yeah. And so then the big movie thing's supposed to come out and this and that. And at some point in time before, Lou and Erica, no, not Erica, Meredith, I'm getting the actress name. Meredith and Lou at some point, this is before she got found out. They had like a huge argument about something. And so I'm just like, oh, you brought Erica back into the show. Well, you could have cast anybody for this role. Why give her this meaningless role and everything? She's a huge actress. Like, you could have got anybody who was like just like a wannabe like actress, and they could have put that in the role. So that's that whole checkmark system thing anyway. So anyway, the big movie premiere is coming out. Now we do get to see some flashbacks of Lou as to why she might doing the things that she's doing, but we still don't know why. We know why she got put in a mental place. She loves her mom. Her mom was close. We actually get to see her mom. And her mom used to go to movies. And then all of a sudden, her mom just killed herself. In the tub, there's blood everywhere. It's 13 reasons why type blood in that bathtub. But we don't actually get to see her kill herself. So this upsets her. And at some point in time, they show her laying in the tub with blood in it. I think she tried to kill herself or something like that. And so then she gets put in the mental place. But there's no reason why she's obsessed with Joy. So then the big movie premiere comes out, and here comes Lou, all dolled up in a gown. At the movie premiere, she's hiding around. Nobody can see her. So she's at the movie place. Nobody recognizes her. You'd think her wanted picture would be all posted all on the news. People could recognize her, but since they assume she's dead, nobody's like, putting two and two together. And so like, at some point, Joyce and her man are at like this place, and they're doing it, and what's her face is seeing it, so this upsets her. So when the man's walking the dog, Lou comes in and starts talking to Joyce. Joyce is like scared now. All of a sudden, she's 6 months because 3 months has passed. 3 months has passed since they thought Lou was dead. And so 6 months now, and she's talking to her, and it's kind of like, talking about how like, oh, I did everything for you. I'm the one who got you the book deal so you could make it into a movie, because she blanked like that Meredith. She got rid of people who disrespected her, like and stuff like that. She admits to killing like Redmond for what he did to her and stuff. She's like, I did all of this for you, and like, what do you show me in return? And not to mention Miles and everything. Like Miles comes in, he's all like, I'm calling the cops, and and you have to leave. And she's all like, you're having my baby. Oh, she didn't tell you? That's my egg inside you. But and then she mentions to Joyce that, oh, Miles is always cheating on you, and he tried to blame me one time, and I wouldn't give him the light of day. And so then, I forgot to mention, so Miles does cheat on like Joyce, because he had one of his new models in, and she's completely butt naked nude, and then they end up doing it and stuff. So he has no problem getting up with other women. It's just Joyce. And so so then she pulls a gun on him. And I'm thinking, where did she hide the gun at? Because I don't think she had a purse, but when she's wearing like a evening gown dress, so who knows? And so she's like, her and Miles are going, and Miles is just taunting her, pissing her off. So she gets mad. And then this was the dumbest thing happened. She's all like, so that's your masturbation hand, huh? And then she shoots the gun, and it goes black. And then we see him with blood drip down his hand. Ah, ah, ah. And I'm just like, she shot his jacking off hand. What the world? Now, in Scream 4, when Jill shot what's-his-face in the shillelagh and everything, and that was funny and everything, 'cause he cheated on her, and she got him back by taking off his you-know-what. But this was just weird. So then, all of a sudden, Joyce is trying to calm her down. It's all like, look, man, I told you Hollywood would eat you up and everything. You have to go. And she tells her, just leave. And she's all like, why are you letting me like get away with this? And something about she sees herself in her or something like that. So then it goes from that to we see Lou running in the woods, hysterical, running for her life. Now, first, let's get back to Joyce. Joyce is a cold, heartless woman. She tells somebody that Alex was worthless and Lou was worthless, and it's just one worthless person killing another worthless person. She's really cold-hearted and nasty, and because she allowed being a boss to corrupt her and everything. See, it's like I said before, a lot of people assume that if a woman takes over the world, everything will be better. For probably the first couple of years, 20 to 50, yes. After that, no. They're going to turn just like men because power corrupts. And you see Joyce is very corrupt. Joyce doesn't even care her man got shot in the hand. She doesn't even care that Lou has murdered 2 people. She doesn't care that she's carrying Lou's baby. Like, what the world kind of writing is this? Now back to Lou running in the woods. She's at the giant Hollywood sign. But before she gets there, she sees a mountain lion. She's talking about everybody has, like, they setting it up to where, and she's narrating herself, talking about, oh, to have a happy ending, you have to do this and this and that. And then she stops in the middle of the road, and it's a poorly CGI mountain lion. It doesn't even look real. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, she's about to get eaten. Nope. That was just thrown in there just to be thrown in there for some bizarre reason. So then we see her on top of the Hollywood sign, and she climbs it after that. I'm just like, oh, she's climbing the Hollywood sign. I guess she didn't get eaten up. So then she stands on the Hollywood sign looking to commit suicide, and she's talking, and it goes to black. Don't know if she jumped. Don't know if she did not. Don't know if they're setting up a second season, but if they are, I'm not watching. This was just a poorly executed show. It has a lot of flaws. It's not well written. People are just thrown in this show for like checkmark clickbait type stuff. The whole pacing of this thing is so quickly done. It's just like insane. There's no resolution as to, is Miles gonna leave? What's her face? Is he upset that there's a crazy person baby inside like his woman? There's no good resolve or resolution to all this craziness that's going on in the show. And it's quite a shame. Because this could have been a perfect executed show. I mean, it was dark. It was erotic. It was mysterious. It was a thriller. But then they kept dropping the ball at every chance they get. And they never explain why Lou loves Joyce so much. How did even she know who she is? She works at the head of like a movie studio. Do you know how many movie studio execs I don't know of? I know directors, I know stars. The only reason why I'm hearing some people's names and seeing some people because all these scandals are coming out, like Warner Brothers and stuff. The Hamada dude. I now know what he looks like because of all the scandal stuff. But see, Joyce is the type of person who doesn't like scandal. So how does Lou even know who she is and everything, unless she's done interviews, and that's where she gets the pictures from and stuff. But why her of all people is never explained. And that's what's just so weird about the whole thing. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.